that why teaching of all the professions in the world?
Why teaching is interesting. It was all a mistake. And last year, Jan, you heard about this apartment block that fell in this, what is it called? Wazir Hassan Road. Okay, the Alia apartment.
You had just come out of it?
I was in the building.
You were in the building?
I was in the building. I was on the 4th floor. We were sitting on having tea and chatting. And suddenly this roof just fell. So what the hell? It just fell. It collapsed. The beam of the thing was here. Beside me, I was lying flat on the ground looking at the roof.
Welcome to the Wisebart Company. And on today's episode of Talkfest, we have one of the greatest teachers ever that I have known, that Lucknow has known, Mr. Ashley Byrne. He taught my wife, and thank God he taught her. We straight away went to his house, told him that, he sat us down, and we had a great conversation. A great man. Thank you, sir. Hope to see you more often, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. I mean, this is in front of the camera, and this is the second time I am in your house. And frankly, sir, I'm in awe. Just to keep it very simple. And so the first question, that why teaching of all the professions in the world?
First of all, thanks for talking to me. Why teaching is interesting. It was all a mistake. Yeah, why was it a mistake? I finished school when I was 16. Okay, we were in Kanpur then. And as I told you, my father was in the railway. So we never ever bought tickets. We didn't know what tickets looked like. We just jumped on the train and traveled. So there's a teacher training institute basically for Anglo-Indians and Christians in Allahabad, in St. Mary's Convent. It's known as the St. Mary's Convent Teacher Training College. Now, in those years, when we finished what was then called the Senior Cambridge, we didn't have ICSE. So Senior Cambridge means we finished in class 11. Our papers went to Cambridge for corrections and then came back.
Cambridge as in the UK?
As in the UK, okay. Yeah. And that time if we got 60%, if anyone got 60%, then that guy was a genius. we guys were just ending up with 40s and 50s and things like that. But anyway, I was 16 then. I finished my ISC at that time. And I was still waiting for my result. I didn't know my result. And the rest of my friends, they were all going to do their teacher training in Allahabad. So they told me, come along, you come along with us. Reach us there. And then you come back, you catch the next train and come back. I said, fine. So in the morning, we all jumped into the train. We reached Allahabad. And we went straight to the St. Mary's convent. And there was a nun waiting for us at the gate. And when I was young, I was nervous of nuns. Okay, nuns and priests, because they used to talk with their hands. If they knew we were Christian, so they would talk with their hands. Okay, so you get slaps and all sorts. So I was a bit nervous of sister, and she looked a little intimidating. So anyway, I reached my friends to the gate, and I was turning around to go. And she shouted out, yeah, where are you going? Come here. So, yes, sister. Get inside, there's an entrance exam. Just for what? She said, you go there, don't talk back. Fine. So I walked in with my friends to do another entrance exam. I just finished my essay. So I walked in and did the entrance exam. Okay. And we were told, okay, relax, you wait here. We'll give you the result now. And I topped the exam.
On the spot exam?
On the spot. I mean, obviously, I've just come from one exam. I've walked into another one. I did it.
Informed.
And the other guys had already worked and they were out of touch. So they were struggling with their exams and stuff like that. Anyway, I cleared. So when the sister announced the results, my name was on top. And then there were another 8 or 9 guys. And she said, you all sit, the rest of you all please go. So I sat down. She said, okay, now, congratulations, you all are, admitted into the training college. I said, sister, shut up. So anyway, then my friends told me, look, you've passed the damn test. So why don't you just come, do your training? I said, fine, I have nothing else to do anyway. Chalo, do training. So that's how I became a teacher.
Just like that?
Just like that. I went back to the station, told one of the drivers, I said, tell mommy to send me my clothes because I'm going to become a teacher. So my mom said, okay, this guy does crazy things, so go ahead and become a teacher.
Those were simpler times.
Those were simpler times, yeah. We didn't have any big competitions and stuff like that. So the 2 years I did my training there.
Which year would this be?
This would be 72, 73.
The 2 years of training.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 years of training.
2 years of training, yeah. Right. So I finished in 73. Mm-hmm. Then I didn't have a job at that time. I mean, others had applied to various schools and they had been absorbed somewhere or the other. One went to Weinberg, the University, and all over the place. I didn't have a job. My elder brother was with me in the training. Mm-hmm. He got a job in Delhi. But he suddenly got ill in Jan when he had to start his job. So I went in his place to the school. I said, look, if you like, I could fill in for my brother. And then when he comes back, then I'm over there. Mm-hmm. So my brother, it took a little long for him to heal. And the principal told me, he said, no, you stay. If your brother wants to become a teacher, he'll apply again. Okay. So I had a job. So that's it. I became a teacher.
It seems it was destined. Because that dear sister just bullying you into taking an exam.
But it wasn't actually bullying, but she didn't know. And then I was too afraid to
let her know.
I mean, I said, okay, I'll do it. So I became a teacher.
So this was a school teaching job.
This was a school teaching job. The advantage that we had as Anglo-Indians, mm-hmm. you do this training. It's a 2-year training, and you could teach middle school in Anglo-Indian schools. Okay. And with the understanding mm-hmm. that when you start teaching, you are going to qualify yourself, do your graduation, post-graduation, B.Ed, whatever. Mm-hmm. So this is putting you on your feet. Mm-hmm. You're getting a salary, you can pay for your education. So you work morning, study evening. Okay. So that's what I did. I did my BA from Delhi University in the evening.
While teaching in the daytime?
I was teaching in the day and studying in the evening. Supposedly studying in the evening. But yeah, that was the pattern.
Yeah. All right. And while all this, what sort of reception was there from the students?
The students were, in those years, education was totally different. Okay, and we were all totally different means the bonding between the teachers and the students was much closer. And we were a young batch of teachers.
Of course.
A young batch of, I was the youngest in the gang anyways. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we were a young batch of guys. Mm-hmm. And being young, we were on the games field more than in class. Yes. So the students, they challenged us in a game of cricket, we defeated them. Mm-hmm. They challenged us in hockey, we defeated them. They challenged us in cricket, we beat them. They challenged us in basketball, we beat them. They challenged us in a relay at the sports day.
4x200.
4 into 100 meter relay. Mm-hmm. They challenged us. We fielded 2 teams. Mm-hmm. And our teams came first and second. The present students came third. So that's why we were so close to the students. Like if students wanted to, like for example, go to Jaipur or go to Cobbett Park or whatever, the senior students, none of their teachers would be willing to take them because they were up to all sorts of mischief. Okay. So the principal's rule was that if you want to go for a trip, you have to have a teacher. So they'll come and catch hold of us. Sir, come on with us.
The young guys.
They'll come on. We'd go with them and there was no discipline problem, no nothing. So we managed. But the minute, like, the authorities started putting pressure on us, like, okay, you are going to be Ashley, you are going to be the basketball coach. To hell with you. And we stopped coming for games and forget it. Then the atmosphere started changing.
And so I don't know for what do they start putting these rules in place.
I don't know. That's an administration problem. I've never been interested in administration at all.
I mean, teaching is all that where the fun is.
Teaching, yeah, I've become a teacher to teach, not to be the principal of a school or something. So enjoyed myself teaching.
So for how long did this go on, the school teaching?
I told you, this is my 50th year of teaching. So I've taught in schools, I was 10 years abroad. I was in the Sultanate of Oman there. And I left in 79, I left India. And came back in 89. And I was teaching Arab students there. So I've had fun on teaching. It's been a good experience right through.
Are they serious about English?
Yeah, some of them are. And some of them aren't. But then that's everywhere. And then again, what you'll find is, I've found it many times here in India itself. When you're teaching a class, especially for these competitions and things like that, I find personally that a student coming in from the rural areas is more highly motivated than a student from the city itself. The city student, especially an English medium background,
coming from,
they think they know everything about it. You can't teach them, they know it. So those guys don't want to learn. And it's the guy from the rural area who really wants to learn. He somehow knows that, look, I need to be serious about this.
At least he realizes that.
He realizes that and he makes the effort. The guy who has come in from an English medium background doesn't want to listen to you because he knows everything.
Because this is a problem. People like me also, we were part of the problem actually. In class 9th, what happened that Mr. Shukla, we had a wonderful English teacher, he came and he said that, okay, now on, since you are in class 9, we'll be writing one paragraph every day. I'll give you a topic and you write. So we said, fine. And the cocky guys. So he wrote the topic on the board and it was Time Thou Subtle Thief of Art. So now what happened that none of us had any clue what it meant. So now for good 20 minutes, everybody's just moving the pen in the air, looking at each other, looking at the toppers. And suddenly we realized that, boss, we don't know what English is. So we need to get serious about it and study. So I think that is the beauty of a wonderful teacher. In their own subtle way, they make you realize that you need to
get down and study.
So that was something that I remember from class 9. And absolutely right, sir. I mean, sometimes privilege does make you complacent.
It's I don't know, the education, the problems in education. I never blame the student. I never blame the student. I mean, the student is a student and he's come to study. It's basically his environment, his parents basically, who have these unrealistic demands of teachers, of schools, of their children, and they put too much pressure on their kids and on you. And I had one experience here in Lucknow only. I won't mention the school, but I attended a parent-teacher meeting. And
as a parent?
No, as a teacher. I was teaching in the school. So I had to attend this. And I asked the principal, look, I don't like parent-teacher meetings. I don't want to really attend this one. So, no, you have to do it. I said, fine. So a young couple came. I mean, not very young. I mean, the kid was in class 11 or 12. So, whatever, middle-aged people. And well-dressed, nice, speaking good English. And the father had very definite ideas about how I should teach his son.
How you should be teaching.
Yeah, how I should be teaching English to his son. Fine. I listened patiently. Fine. Then his wife spoke up and she had very definite ideas as to how I should teach the son. So I thought to myself, I mean, I lost my temper, which I shouldn't have. But anyway, so I asked them, I said, by the way, what profession are you people from? And both of them were doctors. So I said, now let's hypothetically look at it in reverse. And I said, now I come to you. Okay. You're the doctor, I'm the patient. But I have very definite views about how you should treat me. I'm going to tell you what to do in order to treat me. Okay. But Mr. Byrne, you see, we're the doctors. I said, so we are the teachers. We are your son's doctor. Leave us alone. We'll do our best. Interfere with us, and you can imagine now a classroom of 50 students, and you've got 100 teachers trying to teach them. I said, it doesn't work. They went and complained to the principal. The principal said, Mr. Byrne, what did you do? I said, I told you I didn't want to come for a meeting. Can I go home now? So that was it.
So how much creativity is needed to be a teacher? Because as you see now, many people have come into teaching because probably the money has come into the profession. But is there any element of creativity that is required to be a wonderful teacher? It's one thing to be a teacher as teacher, and it's totally another to be the teacher. How much creativity, sir, have you kind of consciously put into it, or it has come naturally to you?
I think creativity is a constant process. You have to be creative. You can't be boring and pedantic and just go and give a dry lecture in your classroom. Your children will go to sleep. You'll have discipline problems and everything. So you've got to be creative. And there's a lot of creativity in teaching language. So the more creative you are.
Is there a process that you followed initially?
No, it's not a process. That will come with experience, but it depends. You see, most of the time when we talk about teaching English, what does teaching English actually mean? Okay, now we have to, because what happens is most of the people here in, let's say Lucknow, I won't say India, but most of the people in Lucknow, when we talk about teaching English, what is their background? They have done their graduation, post-graduation, doctorate, whatever, in literature.
Okay.
Now that doesn't make you a language teacher.
Grammar portion.
No, not grammar.
Not only grammar.
Language teaching is totally different from literature. I mean, we use literature to teach language. Now, maybe if I am teaching Shakespeare, I'll point out figures of speech, I'll point out the tense he's using and why he's using this tense, and that kind of thing. That okay, he's used the present perfect here. Why didn't he just use a simple present indefinite? What's the difference? What's the meaning? So grammar is being taught to them, and it's more. So you're studying your Shakespeare, but you're improving your grammar this side.
Exactly.
So, and they don't even know that. We haven't told them, okay, now we're going to do the past indefinite versus the past perfect. They'll be looking at shit. I don't want to do that. What juice is that? So creativity keeps coming in. You teach a poem, for example, Rudyard Kipling's If.
Yes.
So you're teaching a conditional clauses there.
Yes.
So it's all conditional.
It starts with if.
The name of the poem is if. So the entire thing is conditionals. So you teach them the different types of conditionals. So they've studied grammar, they've studied your adverb clauses of condition, they've studied poetry, they've studied meaning, style, so many things. But it depends how you approach it.
As a teacher.
As a teacher. I mean, the student, of course, he's sitting in an English literature class. Okay, open up, we have to do if today. So you do if, and what do the teachers do? Stand up, read if. So he stands up and reads if, the rest of the class is sleeping. Okay, fine, this means this, this means this, this means this, this means this, this means this. Okay, write down these 5 questions, answer them, chalo, finish, next chapter.
You pass the exam and move on.
So you've passed the exam, but you haven't learned English. Then I've also witnessed an English teacher teaching English in Hindi. So
we have been doing.
So, I mean, okay, but always remember from the learner's point of view, if the guy is coming to study English, firstly, that's not his language. Okay. And most probably, 90% of the time, that's not even the language that's spoken in their homes.
Precisely. Yes.
Right? So their homes know English. If they switch on if the dad or mom switches on TV, it's probably a Hindi soap or a Hindi news. Your friends don't speak in English. Then where the hell are you going to get practice to learn English, to practice your English? You can't learn language in a classroom. Languages are learned outside the classroom when you speak.
Interact with.
When you interact in language. Now, I keep giving them the example. I said, supposing a foreigner comes to Lucknow and he speaks to you in Hindi. How will you respond? Are you going to laugh at him that you idiot, you can't speak Hindi? Or will you appreciate he's making an effort and then will you try to help the guy? That we don't say it like this, we say it this way. If you're going to do that, find a friend who will do the same thing with you in English. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Two, three guys get together, speak in English, you're English. The main problem a student has here is what? Sir, अंग्रेजी बोल नहीं सकते हो.
किससे बोले?
So get a friend. You just need a friend. And now it's so easy. You've got the internet with you. You've got everything. You're wasting time on the internet watching reels and stuff. Make friends with some foreign guy and speak to him in English. Speak to him, her, whatever, in English.
How do you kind of motivate your students to do this? Because it's very simple. Science, you study science because you get a job. You study math because you get a job. Maybe you study humanities so that you can go for UPSC and get another job. How do we tell students why English?
Because you get a better job.
How?
See, most of the younger generation today are moving into the corporate world. Okay. To take a very concrete example, supposing a shopping mall, let's say Lulu, recruiting people for their hyper store or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Now, they'll at present they'll recruit someone who has very elementary knowledge of English or something or the other. Fine. Now, if that person's got a job, person is working, getting a salary, fine, but that person wants to improve. Okay. If he wants to improve, he's going to look for a better job. A better job means having better language skills, because your clientele is obviously going to be slightly different. So you're going to speak in better English. So you need a good communications class. Okay. So you break it up into levels. So for the junior level, you have a junior level of English. Then in the intermediate level, when you want, so your job is improving. You become a floor supervisor or whatever you become. Your salary improves. You still want to go up. You want to go to the manager level. Your English needs to be better. So it's up to you. In the courts also, I've had so many lawyers that I've taught myself. When they're doing the CAT and things like that, they're not bothered. Are sir, English, yahan pe UP mein English ka kya zarurat hai? Theek hai, there's no problem. After some years, they've come back. Sir, Angrezi padha do. I said, for what? You told me you don't need English. Sir, we want to practice in the High Court.
And Supreme Court doesn't allow any other language besides
Now you need English. Then they sit down and they try to master the English.
And sometimes it's too late.
It's not late. It's never late. I mean, depending on your motivation, it's never late. But you could have done it then. But then it's pointless telling the guy, I told you so. Okay, you come. Let's do it.
That is the worst advice he can give.
Yeah, you can't give that. I had two very, very senior police officers in this very room. I used to teach, before we did up this place, I used to teach here. And these two guys one guy was in the governor's bodyguard, and another chap was equally a big senior guy. And the first day they came, the whole of Maqbara colony came out to look, because they came in their uniforms, they came in their cars, these police cars. There were 2-3 of these cars with lights and all flashing. These guys jumped out, fully armed and things, and they were looking at him. And the guy walked in straight here. I was sitting here. They walked in, they're looking, and they were wondering, what has this guy done that he's got into such serious trouble? And they came, and anyway, I was sitting down. I said, "Haan, sir, English padhna hai." English padhna hai? What the hell? Kya padha hai? What the hell? So he said, "Nahi, sir." Then there was a Sardar there and one Muslim gentleman. Okay. So the Sardar told me, he said, "Sir, we are wanting to join the UN peacekeeping forces, and we can get a chance to go to somewhere, maybe in Europe.
Okay, not Africa."
So I said, fine, yeah, but how can I be of help? I have no idea what you need. No, don't worry, sir. We'll bring some old papers and show it to you. I thought, that's better. We bring the papers around. So you have to teach us. So I said, no, I have to about it. If I can, I'll teach you. So if you don't teach us, we'll kidnap you, we'll arrest you. So we're going to arrest you and put you in the prison and then you teach us. I said, no, I don't think that would be necessary. You bring the papers. I said, and one request. So what? I said, next time you come, don't bring these guns and all with you. So he said, so we have to wear a uniform. That's fine. You bring your guns, you have to keep your guns here. They said, no, we can't do that. I said, no, I'm nervous about people with guns. And God knows when you'll take it out and point it at me. I'm not. So anyway, nothing like that happened. I prepared them for their English. They went, did their exam in Delhi. They had 3 exams to do. One was this English, one was international driving, and one was the police handbook.
The manual?
The whole manual, yeah. They came back very thrilled and big box of sweets, a bottle of booze and all. So I presumed they passed. I said, so pass ho gaye? Haan, sir. Chalo, very good, congratulations. They were the only 2 guys in the whole batch who passed in English. Okay, and they failed international driving, they failed in the police manual. I said, sharam nahi aati, now I'll have to teach you guys both of these also. So I teach them international driving rules. I said, manual I can't handle, you do that yourself. Arey sir, cheating karke chale hum log pass ho jayenge. Acha, then they went back the next time. They taught their colleagues English, they all passed. They came back. Then I get an email from them I forget where they were, somewhere in Northern Europe.
Okay.
And long list. So what is this in English? What is atta? What is this? So I had to get them a whole grocery list. I had to send them a whole grocery list. I said, here, take. So they're very happy. When they came back, then they came and saw me and all, they were very grateful. So motivation is there. If they're willing to learn, they learn. They learn. And again, it was all, you're talking about creativity. That was all creativity. I didn't know a thing about it.
Yeah. You were just thrown into a situation?
I was thrown into a situation, and I didn't like the alternative. Yeah, we'll arrest you now. So that's that. So it's been fun. It's been a fun journey.
So how many cities in India have you kind of stayed and...
No, I haven't. I visited many cities, but I haven't stayed anywhere.
Okay.
I was born here in Kanpur.
Okay.
My dad, I told you, he was in the railway. So he was posted in Kanpur. So I was born there, did my schooling there. And then I shifted to Delhi. From Delhi, I shifted to Oman.
For 10 years?
For 10 years I was there. Then I came back to Delhi, and then from Delhi I came here.
Talking about Oman, sir, how is it different as a society? I mean, how different it was maybe 79?
That time, 79, it was obviously not as developed as it is now. And it was difficult. Life was difficult there.
Difficult as in physical sense?
Look, the school that I went to, I was posted in the middle of the desert. Okay. There's a small kind of a village. I call it a village, they call it a town. So whatever. And I was the only Indian there. Luckily for me, there was a Pakistani Christian teacher who came along with me the same year.
Okay.
So both of us became roommates. Because two teachers had to share a room. And I refused to know a word of Arabic.
That's great.
So
there's no middle ground.
So now, how am I supposed to teach these guys? And this was equivalent to our India class 5. Okay, so they're small chaps. And I had a little sort of a notepad with me. And these guys were abusing me like mad in Arabic. And I was noting it down in English in phonetics. So I was noting it down. I knew they were abusing me, but what they were saying, I didn't have a clue. So anyway, I wrote it all down. I said, let's learn Arabic. If I can't teach them English, I'll learn Arabic. So anyway, they managed to learn a little bit of English. I learned a lot of Arabic. And I went to the staff room, and one of the teachers there who knew a little bit of English. He happened to be the teacher for the Quran. Okay. And he came from North Africa, Tunisia. And he was much fairer than I am. He was red, absolutely. And so, Mr. Ashley, what did you teach the students? I said, I taught them hardly any English, but I learned a lot of Arabic. So now, what did you learn? And also I pulled out my note and I started reading, and his face was getting more and more red. Now he's the Quran teacher, okay? So his face was getting redder and redder and redder.
I can't even pronounce those.
And he's looking at me, Mr. Ashley, what are you saying? I said, I'm not saying anything. This is what was said to me. I'm just telling you. So he walked into that class and he yelled at the students, and everyone was feeling very embarrassed and stuff. So then one of the other guys who could speak, he was laughing away. I said, tell me what it means. He said, I'll tell you not now, I'll tell you later. So that was my introduction to these children. We had good fun with them.
So it lasted for 10 years.
Yeah. 10 years.
Why India then? Back to India?
Contract finished.
It was a contract.
I was teaching, I didn't go to the Indian school there. I was teaching for their Ministry of Education.
Okay.
So I was teaching the the Omani students. And from that point, the Sultan was a very far-thinking guy. So he knew he needed foreign help to develop his country. But he also knew that he needed to get his people employed. So we also took part in some teacher training programs and things like that.
In a way, he was developing his...
developing his own country. So he didn't mind paying for it. But his plan was this, which is fair enough. I mean, that's his country. So that is it.
So any other country?
I haven't taught in any other country. No.
How many countries have you visited?
I've basically just visited Australia.
Australia? Just a vacation? Or?
Vacation. I've got many family and friends there, so I would.
Okay.
I'm thinking of visiting Ireland and Canada next because I've got family there also. My brother, my only surviving brother, is in Canada. And one of his daughters is with him in Canada. One daughter is in Ireland. So I want to once visit them.
How has Lucknow treated you, sir?
Lucknow's treated me fine. But it has changed over the years. This means when the people coming in, there are too many people coming in looking for jobs or whatever. So it has changed over the years.
The crowd has gone up. The language has taken a beating, I suppose.
Yeah, it has. But then language will take a beating. The language is basically whatever society wants. That's your language. So it keeps changing. It keeps evolving.
I keep telling my students that I'm happiest during the Diwali and Holi holidays, because that is when Lucknow is like left to only Lucknowites. The outsiders, they go
home.
And then suddenly you have the road to yourself. And anybody from Lucknow still believes in Pehle Aap.
It is, but I think that's more of the older generation, not the younger generation. They don't, their values are different now.
So one very personal question. How detached or attached you are to your students' success or failures?
Very attached. I get involved with them when I'm teaching them. I get involved with them. You are my responsibility if I'm teaching you. At least in my subject, I expect you to do well.
But don't you think, sir, it's the other party's endeavor as well, if they are not putting in the effort? How?
It is obviously your... but then again, if the student in a classroom is not really focusing 100%, then obviously it's your duty as a teacher to find out what's wrong. Maybe his family background is not very good. So maybe the parents need counseling a bit.
Have you gone that far?
I have done it once or twice. It's not always appreciated in Lucknow. But I have done it once or twice.
What keeps you attached? I mean, in my case, if somebody gets through an IIM, it doesn't make much of a difference to my life. That is how I have been seeing it. It gives a slight ego boost for a month or so that, a kid from IIM is coming and telling me, sir, you made a difference. But beyond that, it means I won't say nothing. I don't think that I get so attached to their success or failures.
See, what happens is after your students leave and go, now in the past, most of them would come back to say hi. If there was a bond in the classroom, you will come back at some time and say hi. If there was no bond, then you're not to hell with you. So I've had both types of students. Some students who couldn't care less whether I fell down dead over there or whatever. But there are others. I mean, I started teaching in 74. I'm still in touch with some guys I taught in 74. And I keep joking with them. They say, now we are going to teach our children, and you'll have to teach our children and grandchildren in some cases. I said, listen, my policy is 1 generation per family. I've taught you, that's enough. No, I'm not going to teach your son and your grandson. Forget it. I had an instant in Connaught Place in Delhi where this big Sardar gentleman I was in the inner circle in Connaught Place, and this big Sardar guy and a slightly smaller, younger chap. They were walking towards me, and now how the Sardar recognized me is a mystery, because when we were meeting in 2004 or 5 or something, and I had taught the guy in 75 or something. Now, obviously, then I had hair. Now I don't have any hair. I've changed, and so many things have happened. This guy recognized me, and he came straight towards me. And I found that strange, because Sardars don't act that kind of aggressive, with the stranger. So I was wondering, what's wrong with this guy? So anyway, he came straight towards me and stopped just in front of me. And he's actually looking down at me.
He was taller?
Yeah, big guy. And he's looking like this. Do you recognize me? I said, no. No, I said, and I said, okay, if he's asking me that question, I've taught him. Now where? And I was trying to rack my brains. And so I said, where did I teach you? He said, here. I looked at him. I said, in Delhi. And I only taught from 74 to 79. That's it. So I said, here in Delhi? Yes, sir. There had to be a bloody Sardar. I said, why? I said, I was here from 74 to 79. So I taught you between that. Yes, sir. I said, and you were as big as this? No, sir, you taught me in class 5. I said, bloody idiot. You taught me in 5, and now you're a huge man with a big beard and things. You expect me to recognize you? So anyway, he had a big laugh and all. Then he caught hold of me. He said, come on, let's go and have a drink. I said, I've stopped drinking. I'll come with you. I'll sit down, but we'll chat. I said, and who's this gentleman? So this is my son. I want you to teach him. I said, forget it. I've taught you. Now you teach him now. He's your responsibility, not mine.
There's still gratitude in the world. In some
students, yeah. And some of them, they look at you and they pretend they don't know you anymore. And all. Fine. That's your choice. But what you'll notice is, if you know your subject and the student is convinced that you're not telling them lies or you're not padding the lesson, they respect you. The minute you tell them lies or whatever, because the students are constantly trying to test you as well. So if you fail their test, then you lose your discipline in that class and your respect.
I remember clearly when I came to you and I asked for what should I be careful about when I wanted to get into teaching. You told me 2 things. One was this: I'd be very honest with it. If you don't know the answer, tell them.
Yeah.
And find the answer then. And the second thing was that most of the students sitting in front of you, chances are very high that they will be having an IQ that is higher than yours.
At least 1 or 2 of them will.
Respect that.
Yeah.
You must respect that. So in that regard, sir, I have followed it to the T.
It helps.
It surely helps. The sincerity and honesty and the acceptance that these kids are going to beat that exam which you couldn't.
I've noticed it when I was teaching linguistics in Christian College. I was there for 2-3 years as an ad hoc lecturer. And they had just got their affiliation for MA.
Okay.
And I noticed that the students were bunking a few classes. But for my class, they'd all be there. For Mr. McFarlane's class, they'd all be there. And so one of the lecturers there, he told me, he said, like, these students are forever bunking classes. So then I told him something which I should, basically in hindsight, I shouldn't have said it. I said, look, students will only bunk classes of people they don't respect. Now, unknown to me, he was one of the guys whose classes the students bunk. So I said, if you know your subject and you make your class interesting, students won't bunk your class. They come to my class, they come to Mr. McFarlane's class. So he obviously didn't like it, but
he had to accept it.
I don't know if he accepted it or not. I said it. I shouldn't have, but
why shouldn't you, sir?
People
raw truth.
people don't like hearing these things. Especially a professional. He doesn't like being told that you're not professional enough.
Have you ever had a student who comes to you and says that there's a dilemma about how to deal with people at the workplace or society in general? Like, we as teachers, you as a teacher, we keep telling people to be upright, to be ethical, and the world doesn't function that way. So should we stop telling them that?
Well, yeah, stop preaching to them. Stop preaching them. Do you follow that?
To a certain extent, it is nearly impossible.
So then don't tell them that.
So you don't do that?
I don't do that. No.
You just stick to the...
I stick to that. My whatever morals and values we talk about in class, in general. I mean, I don't give one particular guy a lecture in that. In class. And if you're teaching literature, it's morals and values anyway. So you leave it to them.
But has it been only English, or you have studied literature from other languages as well?
No, I specialize in English only. That's it.
As in reading some...
No, just English. I tried my hand at foreign languages. Even some of my colleagues picked up Arabic fluently.
Okay.
I didn't. I mean, I could speak Arabic. I could get by in Arabic, but I would never say I know Arabic.
Or even as a student, you're not...
No.
As a teacher, it's way off.
As a student, we had to study Sanskrit, which I always failed. So that was my... If you want to call it a foreign language, it isn't. So that's it. But no, I haven't been interested in learning other languages.
So when did this camera took over your life?
I've always been interested in photography.
So was it only through social media that we came to know about it?
Yeah, probably. Because see, any case, earlier when we started with photography, when I was in school, that means I didn't have a camera. Then my friend had one. We used to get these click 3s and brownies and stuff like that. And they had those 120 film rolls. So you get about 12 shots in one. Okay, so you roll it up and then you take one shot and then you rewind it like hell and then you take the next shot. But then after taking the shots, number one, you're not sure because you couldn't see anything through the viewfinder anyway. So number one, you're not sure whether what it's come like. And number two, it was pretty expensive to have the reel developed, and then one print would cost you about say 7-8 rupees in those days, which was half our pocket money. So we used to be very careful about taking photographs then. So I've still got that habit, and some of my friends who come out with me now, they tell me, sir, why didn't you put your camera into rapid burst when you're taking photographs of birds or animals or something? And I still have the habit of just one shot, and that's it. Okay. As I see, firstly, it doesn't make sense to me. A bird is perched up on a tree. You click 100 photographs of the bird perched up on the tree. The bird's not doing the damn thing. It's just sitting there. So you see it's perched there. You haven't changed any settings. You just press the shutter and it's going. So are you impressing the bird? Are you impressing someone? What the hell? Nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening.
I've taken one. I mean, my shot is as good as your 100. If the animal's on the move, yeah, okay, fine. But then if the animal's running, instead of taking 150 shots, make a video.
Exactly. Now that you have the
cameras have that facility, yes. You make it into a video. Khatam. So I mean, it's never. I mean, I have the facility on my cameras, but I never use them.
So Is it every Sunday that you go?
No, I used to, not now.
Not why?
No. I basically had a bit of a health scare last year. So my brother passed away 2 years ago. From that time, then that COVID and all came in. Then from that time, my health went down a bit. I've just gone back into my old self. And last year, Jan, you heard about this apartment block that fell in this, what is it called? Wazir Hassan Road. Okay, the Alia apartment.
You had just come out of it?
I was in the building.
You were in the building?
I was in the building. I was on the 4th floor. We were sitting on having tea and chatting. And suddenly this roof just fell. So what the hell? It just fell. It collapsed. The beam of the thing was here. Beside me, I was lying flat on the ground looking at the roof. And the whole building just falling. It collapsed right to the bottom. Just lying there. So shit, now what's going to happen next? God was with me. I'm here.
Any injuries?
One tiny scratch on my hand. That's it.
So you were on the 4th floor. You stayed on the 4th floor and came down.
We came down practically to the 1st floor when the building collapsed. I mean, it was scary. That's about 6-7 people died in that thing. So physically, I was okay, but I had to go to the hospital and get unnecessarily. It became a sort of a VIP kind of
media circus.
Yeah, media circus. So unnecessarily drip. I said, look, I'm okay. I mean, deal with the guys who are hurt. I'm fine. No, we'll keep him overnight for observation. Is it well with you? I'm going. Then you'll have to sign bring this wristband. I signed it. You take. And the deputy chief minister lands up, and the VIP himself is annoying. But the sidekicks are the guys who are more annoying, because they come and isko hatao, and then you're lying down, you're the patient. You're suddenly lifted up in your sheet. You say, what the hell? If I haven't broken a limb, and you'll break it for me. Leave us alone at least. Don't hatao your sheet, ganda hai, pull away the sheet. So I said, I've had enough of this. I'm going home now.
I can take care of myself.
I'll take care of myself. That was, but mentally it was a bit of a problem. Problem in the sense
the trauma.
Yeah. And go to sleep and suddenly see this thing falling on your head again. So
of course, it was a life and death situation. Anyway.
It was a serious, very serious situation. I just escaped death by about a foot and a half.
That beam could have been.
If it fell on me, I wouldn't have been here today. And since it fell here, it saved my life. And the gentleman I was talking, the poor old man and his wife, they 3 days earlier, they had celebrated their golden wedding anniversary.
Okay.
And there was this fan in the room. A fan fell on his chest. Cracked. No, he didn't kill it. Cracked a couple of ribs.
Okay.
And he got some injuries on his legs. And his wife, poor thing, was the other end of the room. And she was making tea and, like snacks and things for a guest. So when this thing collapsed, the beam it formed a sort of a triangle. Okay. And it gave us, the old man and I, we had place to at least breathe, whether it was dust or whatever, but at least we had some place. And then this lady was trapped on the other side, on the same, obviously the same room, but she was on the other side. So she couldn't see her husband, so she went hysterical. He was getting hysterical listening to his wife, and he couldn't do a thing about it. And about 45 minutes later, these guys came in to rescue us. And
so for 45 good minutes, you were trapped helplessly.
Trapped? I was lying down flat. I couldn't move. I couldn't move at all. I had my phone in my pocket. So I managed to make one phone call to my mom, my wife, and one phone call to this man's son, whom I was supposed to meet. So I gave him a call. Because of him, I was in his flat with his mom and dad. He told me, Uncle, I'm at work just now, but as soon as I finish, I'll come back. He said, fine. So I was talking to his dad. So I gave him a call. I said, listen, this is what's happened. And we're all trapped here. Hey, uncle, I'm coming. And also, poor chap, he came as fast as he could. And I phoned home, told them, I said, don't worry, I'm okay. But I didn't know that the police and all already knew. Apparently, everyone had already been informed. So
now you just brought up that point of going through the trauma and maybe waking up at night. Do you think still that we as a society take mental health seriously?
no,
I mean,
not in India, you don't.
Had you just broken a knee or something, people would have been at it like. But if you tell somebody that I'm facing issues here, I don't think they listen to you, do they?
See, whether they want to listen to them or not, they still happen. And the sadness in India is you sort of deny the existence of these mental problems. So many times students come and they have something mentally wrong with them. They're disturbed. Maybe they're slow learners, maybe they're whatever it is. And parents are not willing to accept that.
Parents are not. हमारा बच्चा ऐसा नहीं हो सकता.
नहीं हो सकता. How dare you insult me? It's not. I mean, it can be handled if we work together. We can handle it. But if you're going to work separately, nothing's going to happen.
Can anything be done about it?
Of course, there are plenty of special education schools. There's plenty of. If you go abroad, you'll find so many special education schools and things like that to handle these problems. India, I mean, Lucknow's also got them. But are you willing to put your child there? That's another question. Because by the time you put your child there, your child has got that label that you're slow.
Stigma.
And which parent wants that? So that mindset, that old-fashioned mindset, that traditional mindset needs to change. It is changing, but not fast enough.
I'm a young parent. My daughter is in class 7. She'll be going to class 8. And I'm being very careful about it. I keep asking her, do you understand this subject or not? Or is just the pressure that you have to be good at this particular subject to kind of be the queen of the class or something. So I keep asking her regularly.
But see, every student can't be the king and queen of the class. So let them function, let them be free, let them function according to their own capacities. When you start putting pressure on them, then the problems come.
They kind of start hiding things.
But then doesn't Indian society demand that you come first in your class? And
that is all they want.
Doesn't that become a talking point in society? Hamara beta.
So you walk into a stationery shop, and by the way people walk, the parents walk and talk, you can easily figure out which school their child goes to. If they're going to the top 3 schools, they have a kind of...
And basically, when we talk about top 3 schools, what exactly do we mean by this? It means that, okay, the top 3 schools are charging the top 3 highest fees in the city.
Exactly. That's it.
And they talk about horse riding. They catch one poor old Tonga wala and put his horse there and then there was horse riding. I mean, it's rubbish. It's total. I mean, it's just a gimmick to entice parents over. And it becomes a talking point. Even coaching has become a talking point.
Coming to the coaching, the government has just started to put a lot of
restrictions and stuff.
And they have said this and that. So what's your take? Because if the school does its job, I don't think coaching institutes are needed. So is there a gap?
No, there is a gap, and the gap exists between the school examination and a competition.
In terms of difficulty?
No. The entire format is different. In the schools, we encourage you to mug up and reproduce. Okay. English literature, for example, Shakespeare, poor guy, he's reduced to 5 points or 10 points per question. So you produce these 10 points, you get your marks, you end up with 90s. You know nothing about Shakespeare. Okay. When you come into a competition, they don't want to ask you, okay, give me this quotation, give me that quotation. They're asking you more technical things about it, or they're asking you to apply that. Okay, which an Indian student can't do because not because he's an idiot, but because he has not been exposed to this in the classroom.
Yes.
So that is where the coaching has to fill in the gap. So that is why, what is the main selling point of a coaching institute? Shortcuts and strategies. That's it.
Because as it is, the time is also...
You're working against time, you're working against the negative marking, you're working against things that you're not used to, which is either unfair on the student or it's just systems need to be overhauled.
So that is the primary difference between school teaching and teaching at a coaching institute. Coaching institutes, they are more result oriented, I suppose.
It's only result oriented.
They are only concerned only about the result. So as a teacher, have you ever taken that pressure on yourself? Never. Go to the class, do your job.
See, and another thing I've never understood, I mean, if I'm teaching you in class and your dad or mom comes and asks me, did you teach Sudip at home? Why? Why? I've already taught him in class. He can come to my house, he's welcome, but I'll teach him the same thing. I'm not going to teach him a secret or something. Exactly. I mean, you come home, I'll teach you the same thing. So how many times does your son want to hear the same thing? So, and there are teachers who earn more money by teaching their students outside, their own students.
Yes.
So what are you doing in the school? Just hunting for students for your coaching center.
That is a parallel industry working.
Yeah. So it's all a mockery. The whole thing is a joke.
And sir, I'm pretty sure that you must be getting calls from like higher officials arrogantly telling you who they are and teach their daughter or son and come home.
I had that and I was quite thrilled once in a coaching institute where I don't know, I forget what the hell he was, some politician or the other. And he walked in with his bodyguards and sidekicks.
Again, the guns
and it looked, I mean, I was quite thrilled when he walked in because he walked in and he told me, he says, I wanted to teach my child, my son. And the son came. And you could one look at the son, spoiled brat. Anyway, I want you to teach my son. Fine. I said, so what have you come for? We won't pay anything. I said, I didn't ask you for anything, did I? So he said, no, but we will not pay anything. I said, I understand you can't afford to pay. It doesn't matter. You don't pay. You don't pay. I'll teach your child free. I don't know, does he want to come and study with me for free? Ask him. He's standing here. I said, हाँ बेटे, मुफ्त में पढ़ोगे हमारे क्लास में? He's hanging his head. Just send him, कल से भेज देना उसने. He never came. When I told my friends this, sir, now you're established. If people recognize you. So that was, I mean, so you do have brush-ups with idiots all the time.
The city is full of them.
Every city is full of
them. So the teaching has evolved. It has gone online. It has become hybrid. You started in 1974. I was born in 1978. Just to give the context. How have you kept up?
I don't know. I've kept up. Yeah, but...
Of course you have.
But this online teaching business and all, I'm still struggling with it.
What are the struggles? I mean, is it the technology or the... Sometimes
technology, sometimes I'm saying something, I mean to show some slide or the other, I'm showing something completely different. And, I get all muddled up with that. And I don't know, sometimes I concentrate on talking to the microphone or talking to the camera. And I forget that the slide has changed and I'm carrying on with the old slide and that's finished and done with. And then I suddenly look at the screen, look, there's another one there. So, it needs getting used to, I guess.
I mean, the content has remained the same. I mean, with the language, it doesn't change much.
It doesn't change much, but it does change. Yeah.
It does change. Yeah.
Because language is basically a tool that society uses to communicate. And so society's needs keep changing, language keeps evolving. That's it.
Like you were talking about the CUET exam. Last year, they were perhaps the only people who were asking. They gave you a sentence and they asked, please point out adverb of manner. We don't find such questions. They either ask you to find an error, fill in a blank, synonyms or antonyms. Now, that was simply asking an adverb of manner. or maybe frequency or something. Is it relevant, sir, in today's world?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. Why are we carrying with it?
It depends who set the paper. Must be one of the older school teachers.
Okay.
And everyone is as far as language is concerned, the Bible that the Indian teachers, the English teachers use is Wren and Martin.
Yes.
Okay, which is ancient. It's I don't know. I think it's about 300 or 400 editions or something.
Must be like.
So I mean, it's outdated. Let's put it very, very politely. And they're comfortable with that book. So they will force that down a modern student's throat. And half those rules are outdated anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the point? What are you trying to prove? I mean, there's so many times that teachers and examiners are trying to prove that, look, I know something that you don't know. So fine, here, I can set a paper when I know something you don't know. Exactly. So what does that prove?
Yes.
It doesn't prove a thing. We need to be more realistic when we set a paper. What is the purpose of this paper? What are we testing? What are we testing? We want this child to get into a university. Why are we testing the English? So that this child, when the child gets into the university, can understand the lecturers. And so we are looking at modern language, not adverbs of manner and adverbs of quality and adverb of this and adverb of that. No, to hell with it.
Totally impractical.
It's see, when you're teaching grammar, always keep in mind that there are different models of grammar. There's what we call the teacher's grammar and what we call the student's grammar. So obviously they're different. The teacher's grammar is filled with all the rules and things that you need. But you need that so that you understand what you are going to teach your student. So you're not going to show off and tell them all this knowledge and this and that, and this is an adverb. How the hell do you use it in a sentence? Show me that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I want to know. And is my sentence correct or is it wrong? I'm happy. My grammar is fine.
So have you ever been asked to give a demonstration lecture by any institute that wanted to hire you?
No. I'll walk away from the institute. I'll walk away from there. A school, when I first came to Lucknow, a school, I won't again mention names, but the school that I went to, they had advertised for an English teacher. So I responded to the advertisement. I applied. They asked me to come over. I went, and the chowkidar at the gate, he told me, "Saab, aapko us kamre mein baithna hai." So I said, "ठीक है." So I sat down in the room. Then the same chowkidar comes back and tells me, "Saab, aapko test karna hoga." I said, "क्या test करना है?" नहीं, English test करना है आपको. I said, "क्यों, हमारी English में कोई कमजोरी है क्या?" नहीं, टेस्ट करना है, साहब कह रहे हैं.
प्रोसेस.
ठीक है भैया. ऐसा हमें एक बात बताओ यार. सो ऐसे ये टेस्ट पेपर जो है ये कौन बनाएगा? नहीं, हम लोग के सीनियर इंग्लिश टीचर. ठीक है. तो एक शर्त है, हम उनके लिए एक टेस्ट पेपर बना देंगे, वो करेगी. So he started laughing and I said, bring the test paper. So he brought the test paper and I had great fun with the test paper. All deliberately, all sorts of different traps and things. Look, आप बैठे अभी साहब को दिखाते. When they saw the paper, they said, हाँ आइए आप इंटरव्यू के लिए आइए. So I went to attend the interview. At the interview, there was a whole panel there. And there was an old lady who was a lecturer, and very respected lecturer at the Lucknow University. I was fond of her. She was very fond of me. And recently, we both of us had met at Ganga Sansthan. What's it called?
Ganna Sansthan.
Ganna Sansthan, yeah. And the British Council had brought in a theatre group and they had performed there. So, ma'am and I, when she saw me, she was, "Oh, hello, Ashley." And so anyway, I sat down. So, "Hi, ma'am," and sat down. Now, these guys are looking at each other. "Hi, ma'am," these two people know each other. And anyway, the principal sitting quietly, I didn't know who the principal was even in the group. So anyway, I wished her and I wished the others generally. And we sat down. And this lady started asking me questions about the play. I started answering them. I started asking her questions. We chat. And automatically, when you're chatting about a play, now she was a professor in literature. And Mill on the Floss is a book that she had taught.
Oh.
So obviously we went into technical details and into all sorts of... And we were discussing it very casually. And finally, she suddenly, oh, sorry, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Ashley? They said, no, you heard enough. So, silence. So I said, ma'am, shall I leave? Ashley, I think it's over. So I got up, I thanked everyone. Then the principal spoke. I said, Mr. Byrne, you haven't asked the most important question. I said, sorry, sir, what's that? He said, you didn't ask me how much salary you'd be getting. So I said, sir, this is a big enough school. I'm sure you have scales for teachers. So whichever class I'm teaching, I expect to get the scale. I mean, where's the negotiation coming? I mean, do you pay your teachers different salaries? No, there is a scale. I said, then that's the argument. There is no argument. No, okay. Came home. Next day, the chaprasi came with my appointment letter. I gave it back to him. I said, principal saab ko de dena.
The process was wonderful, but I'm not good.
Yeah, thank you. I've had a good experience, but yeah. I've never liked getting into clashes with administration and things like that. I mean, teach, finish my work, that's it.
So it could be mistaken for ego, that I am a good enough teacher and you are trying to test me out.
It could be, but it could also be the reverse.
Okay.
It could also be the reverse because most principals aren't educationists in the first place. So there's a difference between a businessman talking to an educationist. So how are you going to judge my proficiency?
Right.
You can't. You'll only judge my proficiency on results. So shut up, leave me alone, I'll give you the results. If I don't give you the results, yeah, okay.
You can always ask me to leave.
Ask me to leave. I mean, I wouldn't even give you the pleasure of asking me to leave. I'll get up and I'll leave your school. I won't come back. If I failed, I know I failed, I won't come back. So maybe that's ego, I don't know, but...
Because once I was caught in the same situation, and initially that institute was chasing me. When I agreed, they said that you have to take a test. And I told them that I'll score minus on the test, but I will not reduce even a single penny of my remuneration. And then they never came back to me. So, but the word spreads that this guy is arrogant and this guy is...
Whatever, how does it matter?
But I don't think that it matters, because as long as you know the job.
You know what you're going to... I mean, you can only judge me on the result I produce. In a coaching center, that's the situation. I mean, in Lucknow itself, when I was teaching class 11 and 12, that is the time when the children are still... I mean, I call them children. Yes. They don't like to be called children, but anyway, the young adults begin to experiment with girlfriends and boyfriends and things like that. It's fine. It's natural. And I'd rather you conduct your affair in the open in front of me, rather than going and hiding behind a corner. That's I don't like that. That's a bit dangerous.
It is.
So you want to, whatever you want to do, you want to chat with your girlfriend, sit, I promise I won't listen. Sit. So they trusted me. The whole class trusted me. And I knew exactly who was whose boyfriend, who was whose girlfriend, who was interested in whom. And all this childish kind of, for them it's very important. It's the most important thing going on right then. And for me it was, okay, I've heard this before. So anyway, respected their confidence, kept it secret, didn't share it with anyone. The principal got mad with me. Mr. Byrne, how come these children are always talking to you? I said, sir, they've got questions to ask. Why don't they ask me? He said, that's between you and them. You go and ask them. I mean, they prefer to talk to me. I mean, what can I do? I can't tell them to shut up and go to the principal. Now, what are they saying? I said, that is between us. And one or two of the students overheard me telling him that. So the word spread that Mr. Byrne is safe.
He's solid.
He's safe. Like, we can tell him something.
So right at the start, you said that it was a mistake getting into teaching. Why would you say that now?
No, it's okay. I mean, I've got used to it. But at that point of time, when you're only 16 years old, you have ambitions to do something else. Like I wanted to become a pilot.
Okay.
So that was hit on the head because one of my very close family friends from Allahabad came to Kanpur and he stayed with us. And he was doing his pilot's training in Kanpur. And just at the end of his training, he crashed up and died. So that put an end to my pilot dream. No one, his family, my family, it said, no way you're becoming a pilot. So that was knocked on the head. Now I was wondering what else to do. And then this cropped up in the middle.
I mean, there wasn't much planning actually. Just
There was no planning. Everything. That's why I say it's a mistake, because I didn't plan. I didn't want to become a teacher. I had other plans in mind then. So that way.
most of us who end up becoming teachers, we do have other plans.
But whatever. But, you also have to keep in mind that many people, for them who love teaching, for them it's more of a vocation than, a job.
Yes.
But then you can make out in the staff room, if you enter a school staff room, you can make out the difference. A person who's looking at teaching as a vocation in his life, he or she is very serious about work.
Yes.
And the other guys who are there for the money, the attitude is mercenary, totally mercenary.
Totally different. So what now?
I don't know. I'm too old to walk into a classroom now. So school classrooms are finished.
They are finished.
I mean, that's part of my life that's over. So I'm still involved with classroom teaching in this institute. And that's it. It suits me.
So you were also an examiner for teachers. If I put it correctly.
I wasn't an examiner. I was a trainer for teachers.
Trainer for teachers. Yeah. How are the different?
Examiner, you only examine them.
Only examine that.
I train them for the exams.
And for which class or courses?
No, there are for the University of Cambridge. It offers different examinations for different levels of student.
Okay.
So there are many exams that they offer for schools. Now, if the schools opt for these exams, then obviously they want their teachers to prepare the students. And the Indian method of teaching English is completely old-fashioned, and we don't teach English language like that anyway. Yeah. So we train them on the communicative way of teaching a language. So the skills-based thing. So give your children equal time to speak, to listen, to write, to read. So all these things are the teachers need to know. And once most of the teachers, when they get the hang of it, then they're pretty excited about trying it out in class. And then one thing I've had a problem with is when you train them and you tell them, look, it works best if all of you work in a team. In that way, I can help you, you can help someone else, and it makes all our work easier. But I don't know, for some strange reason, teachers are rather selfish.
They want to keep their...
Yeah, I'll understand this in mind, so...
Formula.
Yeah, you get out, you find your own. Why? I mean, no one's giving you a prize for what you've done. So you share with someone, and that person shares with you, both benefit. You try it out. If it doesn't work in your class, it doesn't work. Not there. But no, they'd rather I'll do my own work. Don't look at my work.
That element of insecurity.
I guess so, yeah.
Maybe.
So that's that.
So thank you, sir, for such a lovely evening. I don't know for how long have I been running this conversation in my head. And it was Ritu who kind of pushed me, पूछ के तो देखो. Half the time you were asking me, Ritu, यार बंसर से बात कर ले क्या यार, बात कर ले मिल के. So she was, ask the man. Max to max, he'll say no. And I said that is going to be really tough to take. But thanks a lot, sir.
Oh, you're welcome, Sudip. Anytime.
And I hope we have many more conversations.
You sure? Anytime. Huh? I'm free now, so we can have conversations.
We can have conversations. And unfortunately, we didn't have much time to look at your garden.
Yeah, you'd have to come in during the day and everything, yeah.
Anytime.
If you come during the day, you probably find me sitting with my camera with a macro lens on, photographing the bees and the insects.
I see those photographs. I mean, the bee or the insects must be wondering, और कितना detail चाहिए.
They get mad when the flash goes off in their face. No, you get stung like mad by them over there.
Achha.
Because you got to go really close to the guy.
Achha, I thought it was just the lens.
That's for wildlife.
Okay.
Macro lenses are small lenses because you're going close to you want maximum detail.
I mean, obviously, it will. The insect will kind of get into a
the
protective.
Insect, they don't get. I mean, we don't frighten them. But the flash does, because I mean, who likes suddenly a flash going off in his face?
Even we kind of.
These poor things are busy taking nectar from them. What the hell? So,
So what time do you have dinner?
10 o'clock or so.
10 o'clock. I thought it was earlier. No.
Yeah, well, it depends. We're not doing anything, but between 9 and 10 sometime. You sit down, do a little bit of reading, and then off to sleep.
You still read?
Of course I read.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Every day?
I like to, almost. And I like to read a book. I don't like to read on my phone or my tablet. The old-fashioned novel. I've got a few lying around. But they all, basically, I don't read here. I mean, I read.
Now, is it, just one last thing, since you mentioned reading, is it advisable to read, for the youth, for these people, I mean, to read just before bed, or they should be reading when they are more alert?
Depends what they're reading.
Okay. What do you read? So you read fiction or before bed, that is?
I prefer reading non-fiction.
Non-fiction.
But if I can't get it, I'll read a good fiction novel.
Okay.
I've even read your Harry Potter books.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter to me. Okay.
And there's one more issue, that is, once you start a book, in your heart you know you don't like it.
Then you give it up.
Give it up.
Then what? Why you want
no guilt about it, just give it up.
I was supposed to study one of Salman Rushdie's books. What that was? Midnight Children.
Right.
And it was part of my course for when I was doing my MA. And I picked it up like a good student and I read 15 pages. And then I just called the kabadiwala and sold the book. I said, to hell with it, I want to answer questions on this book. I couldn't manage. And I said, why am I going to struggle with this thing? I don't like it now. And God knows what's going to happen later. Leave it alone.
That is something that we carry as a burden, that now you have picked up the book, you need to finish it. So we don't need to.
You don't have to. If you're reading for what? Why are you reading?
Enjoy, basically.
You enjoy yourself, to relax. If you're going to get tension over a book, then throw the damn thing out. Throw it away. Give it to someone else who might appreciate it.
You never know. People have different tastes.
Of course. That's why you have a book fair with millions of books around.
Do you visit book fairs? I
do. And now it's nice because the bookshop comes here to the metro station in Hazratganj.
Yes.
There's a repertoire people. They have a bookstop there. So
that is very kind of very well managed. You can spend a lot of time there without being hassled by the crowd.
You get a couple. I mean, it's nice to see that there are lots of young people who visit these shops and they pick up something. They pick up books.
They do.
This is good. I've noticed mainly it's the couple that come in and the girl convinces the boy to get the book. So, no, you must read this. Have you read this? No. Okay, then sheepishly he'll go and buy it. So fine. Hopefully he reads it.
Hopefully he reads it because there begins the real reading comprehension test. Do you read it?
When they start discussing, then the next step will be a divorce. I don't know how.
So better to read it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Sudip.
Signing off.